I disagree with that. War and peace. I always say war and peace. And after that, Supreme Court justice, right? I look forward to hearing from her. We could have heard from her last week. We could have heard from her for a long time. It'll be interesting to hear what she has to say. Okay?
Let me follow up on Jim's question. Mr. President, let me follow up on Jim's question that I don't think we got an answer to.
Which one? Which question?
How have your personal experiences being accused by more than a dozen
I've been accused.
women
I've been
of sexual
accused.
misconduct?
False accusations.
Right.
Excuse me.
How have those?
I've been accused. And I was accused by, I believe it was 4 women. You can check with Sean Hannity. You can check with Fox, because they covered it very strongly. Who got paid? Excuse me. I was accused by 4 or 5 women who got paid a lot of money to make up stories about me. We caught them, and the mainstream media refused to put it on television. They refused to even write about it. There were 4 women, and maybe more. I think the number is 4 or 5. But one had a mortgage paid off her house, $52,000. Another one had other things happen. And the one that reported it, I believe, was offered $750,000 to say bad things about me. And she is the one that reported it. This woman is incredible. She reported it instead of taking the money. So I've had numerous accusations about me.
Right.
They made false statements about me, knowing they were false. I never met them. I never met these people. And what did they do? What did they do? They took money in order to say bad things. I've had stories written in the New York Times front page about 4 women, the whole top center front page of the New York Times. I think it was 4 big pictures. I said, wow, that's a big thing. What's that? These were women that were quoted saying bad things about me. Not the worst things about me, but bad things. And I said, gee, that's too bad. I knew them a long time ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I said, that's too bad. I'm surprised at them. And then all of a sudden I see them on television, nothing to do with me. The next day or day later, they were incensed. They said, Donald Trump is a nice guy. We never said this. The New York Times did false reporting. They're fake news. And you know what? The New York Times would not report that their story was fake. These women said great things. Not only did they not say the bad stuff, they said great things about me. Front page. And those women, they're incredible women. They went on television, and they didn't want to, and I didn't ask them. And they said the New York Times made it up. They gave false quotes. And they went on a lot of shows. They were really incensed, and they couldn't believe it. That's why people know that a lot of the news is fake, and a lot of the people sitting here are fake. But 20% of them are wonderful, okay?
If I could just actually ask my question, Mr. Trump. You didn't let me ask my question.
You've been asking a question for 10 minutes. So please sit down. Please, go ahead.
How did those impact your opinions on the allegations against
Well, it does impact my opinion. You know why? Because I've had a lot of false charges made against me. I'm a very famous person, unfortunately. I've been a famous person for a long time. But I've had a lot of false charges made against me, really false charges. I know friends that have had false charges. People want fame, they want money, they want whatever. So when I see it, I view it differently than somebody sitting home watching television where they say, oh, Judge Kavanaugh, this or that. It's happened to me many times. I've had many false charges. I had a woman sitting in an airplane, and I attacked her while people were coming onto the plane, and I have a #1 bestseller out. I mean, it was a total phony story. There are many of them. So when you say, does it affect me in terms of my thinking with respect to Judge Kavanaugh? Absolutely, because I've had it many times. And if the news would have reported these 4 people, I couldn't believe it. When I heard that they caught these 4 people, I said, wow, that's a big story. And it was for Fox. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier today and just now, you made a significant allegation against the Chinese government. You suggested that the Chinese had meddled in or are meddling
That's right.
in
That's
the
what I hear.
2018 midterm election.
That's what I hear.
What evidence do you have of that, sir? Is there a national intelligence estimate?
We have evidence. It'll come out. Yeah, I can't tell you now, but it didn't come out of nowhere that I can tell you. Now, they've actually admitted that they're going after farmers. I mean, I think most of you can cover that. I like that you're shaking your head. Yes, I'm going to ask you the next question because of that, okay? It's probably going to be the killer of all questions. But let me just explain.
Now if you're not prepared to come forward with the evidence, sir?
China now, we put on $250 billion, and they're paying 25%. They're paying billions and billions. This has never happened to China. And I like China, and I like President Xi a lot. I think he's a friend of mine. He may not be a friend of mine anymore, but I think he probably respects. From what I hear, if you look at Mr. Pillsbury, the leading authority on China, he was on a good show. I won't mention the name of the show recently, and he was saying that China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain. He said, Donald Trump, they don't know what to do. Never happened. Well, one thing they are trying to do is they're trying to convince people to go against Donald Trump, because a normal, regular political person that has no concept of what the hell he's doing would let China continue to take $500 billion a year out of our country and rebuild their country. I mean, they were building 29 massive bridges, like the George Washington Bridge. They're building things that we don't build anymore. But we're starting to build them again. And our economy now is hotter than it's ever been. I don't know if you saw the confidence levels this morning that just came out. Fantastic. And in all fairness to the Fed raising rates, they're raising rates because we've never done like we're doing now. And one of the things that is nice about the rates, the people that were hurt the worst by these zero interest rates, and, you know, when President Obama had an economy that was the worst comeback since the Great Depression and all that, you've all heard that. But remember, he was playing with zero interest money. He was playing with funny money. That's easy. I'm playing with fairly expensive money. So when he does that, the people that benefit are people that actually, in their whole life, they would save 10, 15, 20% of their salary, put it in the bank. Those people got killed because they put their money in the bank. They were going to live off the interest, and there was no interest. Now those people are starting to get interest. And those are the people, frankly, that deserve to, you know, they did a great job. The people that did it right, the people that did the best job got hurt the most. So in one sense, I like it, but basically, I'm a low interest rate person, I hate to tell you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. President,
yes.
You have another meeting tomorrow with Rod Rosenstein.
Yes.
Are you planning to fire Rod Rosenstein?
I'm talking to him. We've had a good talk. He said he never said it. He said he doesn't believe it. He said he has a lot of respect for me. And he was very nice, and we'll see. And he's a member of the Trump administration in that sense. It's the Justice Department. I would certainly prefer not doing that. There was no collusion. There was no obstruction. I mean, unless you call obstruction the fact that I fight back, I do fight back. I really fight back. I mean, if you call that obstruction, that's fine. But there's no obstruction. There's no collusion. I'm going to meet with him tomorrow. I may call Rod tonight or tomorrow and ask for a little bit of a delay to the meeting because I don't want to do anything that gets in the way of this very important Supreme Court pick. So I don't want it competing and hurting the decision, one way or the other decision. Again, I want to hear what she has to say, but I don't want to do. So I may delay that. I'm going to see. I don't want to do anything that's going to conflict with that. But my preference would be to keep him and to let him finish up. You know, I call it a witch hunt, and it is a witch hunt. If you look at the FBI statements with Strzok and his lover, Lisa Page, if you look at all of the things that have gone on in the FBI, if you look at McCabe taking $700,000 from a Hillary Clinton PAC, essentially run by Terry McAuliffe, who's her best friend in the world, and he gives them hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he's in charge of her campaign, and his wife is getting all of this money to run. She lost. To run. I mean, what's going on? If you look at the horrible statements, like, way to go, Page, great story you put into a newspaper, essentially, now we'll go and investigate that group. It's terrible. We have caught people doing things that are terrible. I would much prefer keeping Rod Rosenstein. Much prefer. Many people say I have the right to absolutely fire him. He said he did not say it. He said he does not believe that, and nobody in this room believes it. By the way, I deal with the people in this room. I was with Mike Pompeo before. We were dealing at a very high level with Japan. And I was saying things that nobody in the room even understood. And I said to him a long time ago, and I was right. He said, that's the 25th Amendment that I'm looking at. I think I can say that from Mike.
So you don't think anyone in your administration has ever